What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, so I want to come full circle, go back to the article that talks about the deletion of the zeros. So usually when this news comes out, you got to put it out there, let it simmer for a little bit, let people go back and forth about what they think that means, and then come back and explain it in detail. It really sucks though when people don't know what it actually means, and then you got other people out there that have YouTube channels or write blogs or do whatever the hell they do that don't even understand what the deletion of the zeros means. And so there ends up being a lot of misinformation. Okay, so we are going to get into that. We are going to be very specific about its meanings, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, for now, for those of you thinking about getting into the precious metals, please give our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange a consideration. The link is in the description. If you are a first-time buyer there and you buy more than $100 worth of precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and get a free half ounce of silver. We got Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's the same name as the YouTube channel. Over here, we talk about investments, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. No politics there. Bring it over to here, which is the hidden things in front of your eyes. Over here, you can talk about politics, QAnon, NESARA, GESARA, current events, 9/11, false flag events, chemtrails, the whole 9 yards. I don't mind. Just be respectful of one another. And for those of you who do not have Facebook at all, I do have a Twitter. The link is in the description. Come on over there and join me. Right, so let's get into talk about the deletion of the zeros. But first of all, this article is posted in the group, which is John here, which is very, very interesting. I guess he's responding back and forth. I did see the post, but I don't want to get into it too much because it is interesting. John put me in this video, so let's just see. So this is Michael McCain, articles from Iraq mean nothing. I'm not sure why you don't think they mean anything. I mean, that's how we know what's going on. So very interesting. Are you even paying attention? This is the same exact article from 8 years ago. They just blow the dust of every few years and add a few new things from the present to try to make it relevant. I think I know what you're talking about, and I did say that in my article, and that is the same particular economic expert has wrote this article on more than one occasion. Not the same exact article, but has made the argument time and time again for the deletion of the zeros. And that's what I said in my videos. This comes out. It comes out like maybe once every 6 months, maybe every now and then, once every 3 months, it does come out. And just keep in mind, the person that's writing the article is an expert with economics. And what they're doing is just, I guess it's the same thing as letter to the editor. They're just expressing their opinion. That is not anything the government's going to do as far as we know. We know that the government has studied what would happen if they did do the deletion of the zeros. And we also know that the response was it would not be a good thing. That the deletion of the zeros would hurt the poor people and reduce the purchasing power, and that's not what they want. Okay? So again, this has been talked about several times. So anyways, this is and means nothing more than the fact that the reducing of the actual, it says, what does it say? Wait, the deleting of the zeros has been done for several years. And means nothing more than the fact that they've reduced the actual note count, not value, but note count. Okay, first of all, no, that's not what it means. You're wrong. That's not what the deletion of the zeros means. Now, I've talked to people, and I've had plenty of times in which I wrote and did videos, I should say, and when I spoke about the number of issued dinars has been reduced. So that is different. But yeah, again, the deletion of the zeros and what the article is talking about has nothing to do with the note count. at all. Period. So it says the note count is down from 9 billion total notes in circulation to under 2 billion total circulation, which was stated very plainly in the Davos, Switzerland 2014 article by the official central bank governor, not proxy, if you even know the difference. So that's very interesting because I would love to see that article, John. If you have the link, please post it under this video. Because I read the article in Davos, I don't believe they said anything about a note count reduction, but that doesn't mean I'm accurate, and I would love to see that. So John Hinkle, which is obviously funny, next time you might want to be a better shot. Okay, so the reduction. So Dr. Shibibi, as he stated once, the note count was reduced below these levels, and we had a, democratically elected and fully seated government. He would release and fully restore the former value of the Iraqi currency. Yeah, I do remember hearing something about that, though, but I am curious about the article that you looked at. Again, please post it. And the truth shall set you free. Hallelujah. By the way, it's spelled wrong. Praise the Jesus. And pass that dipshit a dry turd so he can smoke it in hell for spreading lies and fear. You're dismissed, ankle biter. That's actually funny. Right, John, do me a favor. Post a link to that article. That's important because we like to be able to refer to it from time to time. I surely would appreciate it. Hal, inbox me it if you could. Not worried about it. Remember, they have a lot of contracts and projects going on. It's just talk. We appreciate being informed, though. The Middle East is the riddle east. That's pretty good. Okay, so what she's talking about and what we've already talked about. Look, you've seen one article that specifically talks about the reduction of the exchange rate. That's good news for us. We want the exchange rate to be lowered. Right now, you get for every $1 US, 1,190 dinars. If they reduce that, that is a plus for us. But people keep confusing. There's a difference between lowering the exchange rate and devaluing the dinar. Do you see what I'm saying? Lowering the exchange rate benefits us. Devaluing the currency is bad for us. So if they devalued their currency on the exchange side, that means you would get more dinars for your dollar. So in other words, if they devalued the currency, the dinar, instead of getting 1,190 dinars for every $1, you might get something like 2,000 dinars. That's because it's cheaper to buy. So make sure you don't mix them up because I see a lot of comments and articles and YouTubers mixing the two up. The one article from the IMF said they need to reduce their exchange rate. That's good for us. There's an article from this so-called economic expert that is suggesting that we do a deletion of the zeros. It's talking about devaluing the dinar. That's different. Exchange rate lowering, good. Dinar devaluing, bad. Do you see what I'm saying? The United States has $35 billion in their money. If I'm remembering what the president said in the interview, if they were to lop the zeros off the currency, even the government would not have the squat. The war would be paid for itself, like ex-President Bush said. Actually, it wasn't him that said it. It was his treasury person. I did not wait 15 years plus not to break even on this investment. So again, Stefan, if I may, look, we see these articles all the time. I just need to address them because when people see them, all panic breaks loose. I'm used to this by now, so when I see that, I bring it to your attention. I know to wait a little bit and then come back and address it. Okay? So, deletion of the zeros is bad. Devaluing the dinar is bad. Lowering the exchange rate is good. Unless it reaches a dollar for dollar and goes higher, then you want that exchange rate to go higher. It's just different. So, too many times, I could tell you this already. The Iraqi government has already studied this. They did it for 3 years. They've spoken about this. They talked about this. They did it all. So it's already been spoken about. And when they came back, what they said was simply this. They can't do it for the reasons that I told you. It hurts the poor. Their purchasing power is lowered. They don't have enough money as it is. The last thing you want to do is okay, so just to give you an example, let's pretend like you get financial aid of any kind for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. Let's say you're able to buy a month's worth of food for you and your family for $100. Just go along. It's just an example. And let's say all you get for financial aid is $200. So 100 buys you all the food you need for the month, and the other 100 pays for rent and utilities. Just go along. It's just simplified. If they devalue their currency, then what ends up happening is instead of $100 for a month's worth of food, you might have to pay now $150. But they're on a fixed income of $200. So now the money that they use to buy food for a month has changed and now costs $150 because of the devaluing. And then they don't have enough money to pay for their bills and their rents. That's what devaluing the currency does. That's not the same as lowering the exchange rate, okay? We do have I believe, a lot more money than that of the Iraqi dinar. Who'd want to invest in Iraq if their money is worthless? How could they Kurdistan pay salaries and get this economical system to grow? Who would want to trade with them if their currency has been devalued? There is no hyperinflation. Why would they lop their currency? It makes no sense. Well, Ruben, that's just applying common sense. I mean, you're hitting on all the right points. That's why I say it. Look, this is an individual. He's an expert in the economics. This is what he has brought up on more than one occasion. There has been rebuttals to this article. There has been rebuttals by the government. They have done 3 years worth of studies. And they're saying it's not okay. You can't do that. This isn't the same as the Zimbabwe dollars, where you have these $100 trillion bills. Okay, Iraq is not that ridiculous. This is different. Devaluing would hurt the country. It really would. Now we see currencies being manipulated by Switzerland, China, Vietnam. Their situation is a little different. They have items in which they can trade. This would help them be a lot more competitive, an unfair competitive edge in trades. That's why we have the new rules now when it comes to currency manipulation. Okay, but this isn't about currency manipulating. This is different. It's all BS, Pimpy. They will not be lopping any zeros off the dinar notes. Well, if you're asking my opinion, I agree with you. But the article comes out every 3, 4, 5 months or so, and so I got to address it. Because it does get brought up, it gets shared by people, and it causes a panic. But at least we should address it. Don't you agree? All right? When I've got a ton of newbies right now who are buying this currency, and they're seeing this news for the first time, I don't want them to panic. So if you're asking me my opinion, will they be lopping off the zeros? No. No, they're too busy trying to restore the economy. There's too many protesters unhappy with what's going on. There's too many people counting on cash aid. If you did that, it would cause serious, serious issues for Iraq. You would see people protesting again. It would be a really bad thing. Let me paint a picture. Go on ahead, would you? We know that the protests are going to start up again in October. Now imagine the government of Iraq announcing to the citizens, hey citizens, we have just cut your purchasing power in half. Can you imagine the slaughter that would take place in the streets? The slaughter of the politicians. That would be the headlines over the newspapers. Yeah, I think the people, the citizens of Iraq are at that point now where they're like, shit or get off the pot. Excuse my cursing. But I'm just saying, and I think academia is doing a wonderful job from what I can tell. Okay, so yeah, I agree. I just don't see that happening. So Big Daddy, what does it say? So the .00A4 deleted zeros would make it point. Nope, you're talking about the rate. That is the rate. That's not what they're talking about. It's very specific. The IMF specifically addressed the reduction of the exchange rate. That's not the same as the deletion of the zeros. The deletion of the zeros is pertaining directly to the currency, the dinar. So no, it's not the exchange rate. This would not be what's happening. It's like if you had $1,000 dinar note, and if they deleted a zero, you would exchange it for a $1 because they removed the zeros. That would be its equivalency in value. Not this. This is the rate. That's why it was very specific that the one article spoke specifically about the rate change. The other one spoke specifically about the dinar. People often mix them up. Always thought that deleting the zeros meant right of the decimal point. They did the same thing with the Kuwait dinar in 1990s. That's not what they did. That's not what they did at all. They just reinstated the rate. So, and it has nothing to do with the decimal point. That is the rate. Again, the IMF spoke about the rate. This particular economic expert is talking about the dinar, the currency itself. Two different things. Great article, Pimpy. I agree with you that they need the purchasing power to restructure the economy and help the people of Iraq. Plus, it's not like they don't have the oil and natural earth minerals. That's the other thing people don't talk about, Steve. That's funny you brought that up. There's the natural earth minerals that a lot of people aren't talking about. I told you guys they also have a crap load of gold sitting at the surface on a lot of the rivers, especially the Tigris River. I think it's been said that they have the second largest deposit of gold that's been discovered, and nobody is mining it. Okay. So this to back up the currencies before the war, 3.20 or so the dollar. It would be terrible for the Iraq people and the government to neglect these needs. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so what we're talking about now, the rate before the drop of the rate was it? I think it was 322 to be quite honest with you. Not that it makes a difference. So back in the day before America invaded Iraq and they reduced their rate, it was like 322, which meant for every Iraqi dinar you exchange, you would get back $3.22 American dollars. That's what it was before they lowered the amount to protect the wealth of Iraq. There's a lot of us who are believe that it could be a reinstatement of the rate and not a revaluation, but we will see. Ryan, the gentleman that wrote the article, the so-called expert, probably wants everyone to trade in the dinars now so there's not a loss and they can buy more dinars because it's so hard to find. So again, I don't know if there's any agenda by the person who wrote the article. It's an economic expert. I've seen his articles before. He's just making a point. This is like an op-ed in a newspaper. People make these opinions or give these opinions, and they're posted in a newspaper. So that's what this is, but I don't know if they specifically want people to sell their dinars. Might be, but that'd be kind of ridiculous. Remember Kuwait? I think you're trying to spell Kuwaiti. Remember Kuwait said they were not going to RV their currencies for a while, but the RV happened 3 days later. I'm not worried. So, Mike, yeah, that's the thing. You know what I mean? Kuwait did some kind of article along those lines, telling people that something wasn't going to happen to their currency for quite some time. And then a couple of days later, when nobody was paying attention, boom, they changed their rate. There's no fanfare, there's no news, there's no nothing. It just happens. You go to sleep one day, wake up, and boom, the rate has changed. February 2017, they completed the delegating the zeros. The U.S. and EU were not signed any contracts if Iraq's monetary policy was not in place. Majority is going electronically, just my opinion. I'm not making any argument. So what is that? 2017, they completed the delegating the zeros. I'm not sure what that means. I'm a little lost. Now, if you're an outside investor coming into Iraq, of course you would want them to devalue the currency. Of course you do. You want to know why? Because that means labor is cheaper, material is cheaper. So that's what Dr. Shabibi's issue was about the policies that IMF wanted to implement back during the Paris Agreement. He was upset about it because it wasn't allowing Iraq to grow its economy and felt like there was going to be people using the Iraqi people for all the wrong reasons because labor is so cheap. Yes, 0.0084, delete the zeros. A 500 note dinar only has two. Two what? Nope. I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry about that. Jeff at Dinar Investors has some great videos about this, so don't buy it. Yeah. So there are YouTubers out there that have spoken about it, but keep in mind, not every YouTuber understands it. Not saying that, Jeff. Don't. I'm just saying that YouTuber understands what the deletion of the zeros are. There are different types of scenarios. There's actually a deletion of the zeros. That's actually a positive thing. And what I mean by that is they go ahead and do the rate change first, then delete the zeros off the currencies and issue the new ones. That's different. Then they delete the zeros, devalue their currency, and lower the exchange rate. Two different scenarios. But yeah, Jeff just says the news lies all the time. That's his excuse for everything. So if the news is negative, he claims that the news is lying to you. But if it's positive, then the news is good. Yeah, that doesn't make no sense. Look, it's not. It's just an opinion. That's all it is. They're not lying to you. The reporting agency is legit, despite what people might tell you. All it is just an opinion of an economic expert. That's all that is. Nothing more. So it's not that the person's lying to you. They're just voicing their opinion. Pimpy, can we buy dinar when I live in Canada? Well, when you go there, I'm sure you could. If you're wondering where to buy, I mean, I've spoken about this before, you guys. In my description, there's a company called UK Dinar. You could buy from them. I'm pretty sure they sell to people over in Canada. They seem to be covering people everywhere. So I'm sure that if you just reach out to them, they'll make sure that you get your dinar. Why are you moving to Canada? I want to go fish there at Alberta Lake over there. I heard that bass fishing is unbelievable. All right. What you got going on, Regan? Okay, guys, I see a lot of people watching Jeff's videos, but the information he gave was inaccurate. Not surprising. Even if he meant well. I mean, you know, the truth of the matter is Jeff always does mean well, if I'm being honest. But, you know, him making rate predictions and date predictions and pulling God into all this is what turns me off about it. You know what I mean? The truth of the matter, everybody is just speculating on what's going on. You know what but trying to go that extra step, trying to look more credibility than others, is what is a no-no. Jeff should just report his opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. I do believe he means well, but he tends to be off target quite often. Just doing a who is on a domain is not an accurate representative on where a website is hosted. It just tells us where the name was parked. The website data can be anywhere. In this case, it was in California. So while still not harmful, under different circumstances, someone might go to who is a website because they're trying to see if it's legit. Then the thing says it's hosted in Florida, so the user goes onto the website, but the data is across the ocean and it's a huge malware infection. Please do not just trust the information. I've been doing cybersecurity for 20 years and I really just want to make sure you guys stay safe. Reagan, appreciate that. I really do. I don't know what that means. My guess is that you're being told by Jeff to go to who is, and then that was going to be his reason to discredit the article. Again, there's no need to discredit the article, nor attack the person, nor say the media is lying. It's just an opinion of a person who has a background in economics. That's all that is. Thank you, Reagan. Oh boy, here we go again with the lob talk. This issue has been brought up and kicked around over and over and over. It makes no sense to do this and cut their own throats. Yeah, Cody, that's just it. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. But since I know there's a lot of newbies coming up for the first time, I'm just going to bring it out, share the news, let them stew for a second, do what I can to explain it, and then come back full circle and explain it again. So yeah, for you newbies, you can see some of us has been doing this for a little while. Know this article does pop up from time to time. Big Lowry comes, gang in the house. I don't know why you still laugh after all this time. I just think it's funny. Pimpy, a lop is not going to happen. If it was, this would have been done a long time ago. To lop is easy. It does not take decades to do so. Yeah, I think again, the currency is not out of whack like we see the Zimbabwe dollars or the Venezuela dollars. So to me, there's not a reason to be lopping off zeros. You know what I mean? We did see an article a few months ago where Iraq spoke about the 25,000 and 50,000 dinars, their idea of just using those specifically for bank-to-bank transfers and not for public use, but didn't elaborate more on it, just said that was going to be their decision. So why lob off the zeros? Doesn't make no sense. And those are no longer any good. So whenever the rate change happens and people exchange their money, they will get a lot of their currency back. Then they can go ahead and use the bigger denominations for bank-to-bank transactions. This is a shakeout article. The government will be trying to bring in as much currency as it can right now. Very similar to the stock buyback. Sometimes a company will issue a series of bonds, bad news about a company, in order to get them to buy back their own shares. The company knows that the long term looks very favorable and wants to increase the strength per shares. It's my opinion that the Iraq will continue to have several more shakeout news articles in order to accumulate as much lost currency as possible. I think what you're trying to say is what I speak about when it comes to gold or silver, and that is you will see articles from time to time trying to do what they can to get people to panic about the Iraqi dinar and to sell it back at the rate in which they bought it. Therefore, there's less people that they need to reimburse at the higher rate. Yeah, that's always a possibility. You're wrong, Lee. It means 3 places to the type, making it 84. No. No. Surf Zombie 2? You're wrong. That's not what they're talking about. There is a huge distinction between the rate and the dinar currency. The IMF specifically spoke about the rate. It said exchange rate. This article is specifically talking about the dinar, the currency, not the rate. You are talking about the rate, my friend. That's not what this is. I've been hearing this argument forever and a day. There is a distinction between the rate and the currency. Okay? So that's not what this article is talking about. It is talking about the actual currency itself. All right, you guys, that's it for now. I just wanted to come back and clean that up and just respond because I knew there was going to be some concern or some panic, and then you're going to have 5 billion people are going to have their own opinions on it. To me, I'll just say apply common sense. There is a difference between the rate and the currency. These articles are the opinions of individuals. They're not set in stone. The one article, by the way, is stating that these are suggestions by the IMF, which would hold more credibility, in my opinion, when they talk about lowering the exchange rate versus this particular article, which is wrote as an opinion piece of an economic expert talking about why they think they should delete the 3 zeros. 2 different situations altogether. All right, so that's it for now, you guys. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later.